Howdy folks, welcome back to 50 Nautical Mile Arc. Today we are going to look at a new aircraft. This is the recently released RWDesign DHC-6 300 Twin Otter version 2. I've been flying version 1 for a very long time and enjoying it, but now version 2 has been released. I've been anticipating this thing quite eagerly for quite some time, and it's finally released. RWDesign is just one guy named Rob Wilson, and he does all this work, all this beautiful work. If you're not familiar with RWDesign, it's a higher end aircraft. I'd say it's like middle high end or upper mid-range quality. It's not quite study level. There's some things you can get away with if you don't understand airplanes without crashing and burning, but it's above average in quality. At least I feel it's above average in quality. This plane does not disappoint. This also will work as a full cold and dark tutorial. So some of you may be here for the first look aspect of this aircraft. Others might be here for the cold and dark tutorial. I welcome everybody, whatever your intents and purposes are of this watching this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please share with your friends, and check out other videos on the channel. But let's get moving. So this is a very cold and dark. Like this is, I don't even have this set up to how I would record normally. But I want to show you everything. But before we do the cold and dark start tutorial part of it, we're going to give a walk through this aircraft, what's different, what's new, what has changed, what hasn't changed. So first of all, when you buy this aircraft, you get a bunch of aircraft. You get the regular version, which is this, and then you get the Tundra version, which has the bigger wheels for landing in rough areas. You get the ski version, and then you get the floats version, where you can have floats with retractable gear or pure floats with no gear at all. So that's like 5 aircraft there. And then you get the long nose and short nose versions of each. And in this version, to change from long nose to short nose is based on the livery that you choose. If the livery starts with LN, that's long nose. If the livery starts with SN, that's short nose. Airplane designers now with X-Plane 1111 and higher are able to have their livery change their aircraft. For example, the Piper Arrow or the Turbo Arrow 3 and 4. Changing your livery changes the type of aircraft, either 3 or 4. You don't have separate ACF files. Just like this, you do not have ACF files that are separate for long nose and short nose. It's the livery that you choose. Now, of course, the regular Tundra, skis, and floats are different ACF files, but no big deal there. You just have to reset your presets for every aircraft and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so that's one big change. It used to be you'd click a spot in the cabin of version 1 to change your airplane type, but here's the livery. So your livery changes long nose, short nose, and what else? Oh my gosh, so many different things. Speaking of liveries, let's hop inside for a second. If you click on your book here, which we'll go over in detail later, don't worry. You can change your interior color as well by clicking on these 4 color options. And it doesn't change the passenger part. It just changes the cockpit. I personally like the beige-ish looking one. So we're going to go with that. We'll hide that because we're going to come back to that. So those are 2 major changes. Another major change is the auto updater. Every time you load the aircraft, it reaches out to the internet, and if there's an update available, it'll download the differences. So you don't have to re-download the entire aircraft whenever there's an update. You don't have to go looking for an update. It just updates itself, and it takes a few seconds. I already had an update come through. It took like 15 seconds. You just reload the aircraft, boom, you're done, and you're moving along with all the new features. That is super awesome. Something else that's really major about this is scroll wheel support. So for example, if you remember my other videos of version 1 of this thing, dragging these switches and dials around was so annoying to drag. But now you just scroll wheel and they move. It is quite awesome, especially with your multiple direction switches, like the 3-way switches. Scroll wheel for that too. Alright, so super awesome, super cool. Those are some major changes. We'll talk about the minor ones as we go. Actually, there's another major change in the cockpit where each light turns on individually. That is so cute. We'll actually talk about that later as well. So that is some of the major changes. Oh, I guess the biggest change of all is this is rebuilt from the ground up. So this isn't an update per se. This is a completely different version built from scratch. And even your yoke on the inside here is completely different, which actually affects the checklist in a moment. We'll talk about that when we get there. But lots and lots of changes, and all for the better. It flies wonderfully too. I have all my augmentation set to zeros, like you should when you have a payload aircraft. And my sensitivity though is 100%, so I have very big dead zones because my yoke is so catchy and grabby. I could not fly this thing unless I cranked the left column of your, well, I'll just show you the left column of your sensitivity to 100. So there you go. Augmentation, you always want zeros with payload aircraft because they design these with zero in mind. Control response, people say this is better, that's better. No, no, no. This is based on your yoke and the condition your hardware is in. So nobody can tell you this should be this number, that number. No, because they're not using your equipment on your computer at that moment. And don't be afraid to experiment. But I just happen to use the hundreds because my yoke is grabby and catchy. And anything less than 50, I have a very difficult time controlling the plane. So that's why these are 100. These are 0 because they use a lot of payload aircraft. So there you go. Those are my settings. Your mileage will vary and will vary greatly depending on you, your computer, your hardware, and the mood that it's in. And you can save presets now, by the way, if you weren't aware of that. You can change all that stuff and save profiles. But anyway, enough rambling and introduction, but those 6.5 minutes were for the people who want to know what's new about the aircraft. That's the big stuff. We're going to go through that black book in a moment and go through some less big things, but those are the big changes. If you want the cold and dark start, we'll get there in a moment, I promise. A few more things to talk about, though, about what's different in this aircraft. So one of the big things, if you click on this black book, you get all these things. So flashlight on and off, that's when it's dark outside. You can turn on your flashlight this way. Baggage door, there are 2 baggage doors. So let's hop outside. Actually, there's external power as well. So let's hop outside. And you can see now we have a front baggage door here. There's our GPU, which is ground power unit. And there's our rear baggage door there. And if you don't have them closed, you will actually get a warning up here. Once you turn the external power on, you'll get a warning up here that says your doors are unlocked, which is very helpful and nice to have. And we will talk more about the GPU and that stuff once we do our cold and dark start. But I just wanted to show you we have a GPU now, and there is a switch up above we'll turn on in a moment. But I just wanted to show you this first. GTN 750 support, which I don't use. You can get your radios here. You can get your checklist here, which we'll talk about, and your weight and balance. So your checklist, I have my own checklist. I took this checklist, removed what I don't worry about in the sim, because remember, simulator is what you make of it. I made my own checklist, which comes from this and comes from my generic checklist I apply to every plane for the sake of recording and things like that. So I have my own checklist. That's what we'll do for the cold and dark start. However, you can go through this, and unlike other aircraft that I won't mention, this checklist actually you can do. Sometimes you'll get a checklist and half the stuff isn't even in the airplane. So it's frustrating. You see it, you want to check it off, but it's not there. This aircraft, everything is there except one thing, which is yaw damper, which somewhere on here, yaw damper on. This aircraft does not have a yaw damper in it. Rob is aware of that, and when in an update, he's going to remove this from the checklist to make the checklist even more accurate. So that's fine for those of you who use a checklist. It will be updated, and that yaw damper thing will be fixed because he did not put that in this aircraft. He said he has seen Twin Otters with and without them. This version, with this yoke and everything he used, does not have a yaw damper. That'll be removed from the checklist, but all the rest of this is pretty awesome. So you can go through that if you want to. Weight and balance is new for this aircraft and a lot of fun. So let's start now. This is where our cold and dark start is going to begin as well, because this is the last thing to talk about of the airplane. So we're kind of overlapping the new stuff with the cold and dark start. So here we go. If you're here for the cold and dark start, this is where we're going to start. Weight and balance. We got to load some people in here, or we're going to get our manifest together. Let's fill this plane up with a bunch of people, just like this. And you can add luggage to the front, and you can add luggage to the back, just like that. And your center of gravity is going up and down as you make changes. Alrighty, and there's your data on the left. Click here for fuel. Now, here's something you should do. I read this, that your tanks should be equal. So even though it will let you fill up one and not the other, your tanks should really be equal, because I have written down here, aft, which is this one, feeds the left engine. Rear, nope. I got that backwards because I'm looking at my page behind my microphone. Let me start that over. Aft is your rear. Oh my gosh, I knew that, I promise. Your aft tank feeds your left engine. Your forward tank feeds your right engine. So you need them to be equal. Well, okay, we got to kick a few people out here. Actually, we're not going to have that much of a flight, so we can drag this down. And if you want to know if they're right, it says right up here, right fuel, left fuel, 137, 137. So they're equal, and that's what you want. If you were to screw that up, you do have a switch right here in the middle where you can have both engines use one or the other. But you want to avoid, you want to avoid that. You want them to be on normal if you can. Alrighty. So that's how you do your payload, which is your people and your luggage and your fuel. Try to keep them equal. Otherwise, that's about it. So let's close the weight and balance, and you can close this right there. And let's get started now on our checklist that I have created. So first thing I like to do, is open my doors. Now back here's a change. You have 2 click spots now for doors. One to get cargo in, one to get people in. So we don't really need the cargo door open if we're doing people, but we will anyway. Let's see, so doors open, baggage doors are open, livery color I chose, GPU is already connected. Let's hop up here and turn on external power, which we have now in this aircraft. We didn't have that before. We actually have external power, and we can use our scroll wheel to turn on our lights. How awesome is this? This is so nice. I wonder why this is always on by default. I wonder if that's a mistake or that's normal. Anyway, and we'll turn that one on for right now. What else do we want to turn on in here? We'll turn that on right now as well. Oh, a change. Now, I actually have a question out on the forum, which will be answered before you see this video. But in version 1, if you turned on general entrance, it will light up your cabin for you. But now it does not. If I were to make it dark super fast, we will see that the cabin is not lit up with general entrance on. You actually have to walk along your cabin and turn on these lights that I can't find. There they are. You have to actually walk along and turn on all these cute little lights. I can't see them, but you get the idea. There's another one there, see? Now that works though. See, it does light up the cabin. It does light up the cabin, but you have to go through and turn all these on. I have not found a way to turn them all on or all off at once. I have not found that solution. I don't know if that solution exists. But if I come up here to general entrance and turn these off and come back here, there's no change. So that has nothing to do with it. So like I said, I have a question out on the forum to ask if that general entrance even does anything in this version, because I use that all the time in version 1. I was always using these switches right here to light up the cabin. And I don't mind going through and turning on these lights. I just wish I could do them all at the same time. That would be nice. But anyway, we have lights on back there. So that is my story about the general entrance. I'm trying to figure out what else. Oh, something else that's super cool. If you look and we zoom in on the fasten seatbelt and no smoking sign, they are there. And now when you turn them on, they actually light up now. Check that out. Isn't that awesome? So that's a change. That is super cool. So we will keep those on. All right, so now we're going to get this plane started here. When do we close doors? Close doors later. Yeah, okay. So make sure the parking brake is set. And it is. We already did our fuel. To remove this control lock, you click down here. And you put it there to put it back into when you're done. Battery switch. Okay, we can do battery now. I like how the lights will flicker when you go off to on. I just love that. Cute little immersion thing. Of course it would, right? Because you're going through off, but it's super cool there. DC master, that'll get some stuff going for us. Now we can remove our GPU. What? What happened? What? Why are we backwards? Wait a second. Wait. Do I have too many people? Let's see here. Let's do weight and balance and let's see. Do I have too much going here? Oh my goodness. That's funny because I read in the manual that keeping this between 20 and 36% is fine. But obviously, that's a problem. That's super funny. Well, can we tip it back again? We can. Oh my gosh. That's a riot. Okay. That is super funny and I just love it. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we'll keep it level on the ground. Let's turn off GPU since we don't need GPU anymore. So where does that bring us? All right. Let's get some lights turned on. Anti-collision. POS and strobe can come on now. Emergency lights can go to arm. And that is arm, right? Nope, there you go. Down twice for arm. All right, now in this aircraft, you can, apparently, according to the designer, turn on your radios and avionics before the engines are started. Some of you have mentioned this in my other videos that you really should have your engine started before you turn on avionics in real life, and I agree. But the designer of this aircraft says, hey, turn them on now. So that's what we're going to do. If we had a flight plan, this is where we would enter a flight plan. But we're not going to have one. We're just going to take off in Duluth. We're in Duluth, of course. And we're going to head to Sky Harbor, just down a couple miles down the point. And then we'll just land there. Otherwise, weather, I'm actually going to turn off weather. And the reason for that is because I want to have a flight and landing with no variables, the weather being the variable. So let's turn off weather here. Let's just go Cirrus and save this. There we go. So the point being, there won't be any variables in our flight and landing because there's no wind or weather. So weather and wind obviously can affect things greatly, right? But since this is our very first flight, we want to eliminate as many variables as we can. So we're going to go no weather, no wind, so that means our altimeter will be 29902. Do I need to adjust that? Yes, I do. Scroll wheel works just like it should. There's 29902 right there. Alrighty, test the caution lights. So if we come up here, your caution lights, you can go scroll wheel up, I guess. Scroll wheel down makes it go up to test. Then you can look at all your lights. Here you go. Awesome. Let's come back up here and put them to dim. And then they're all dim. Now the door's unlocked. That's because we have our baggage doors open, of course. And we'll worry about that later. So right now, actually, we are going to close our doors. The only way to close these doors that I'm aware of is from that black book. So let's close the doors here. And that will close those. Very nice. Okay, let's hop back here and close our cargo door and our passenger door. Just like so. That's working well. Alright, I don't think there's a lock. That just opens it. Yep, that just opens it. Okay. If we come over here, we'll close the cockpit door. That one is already closed. What is next? Alright, here we go. I know this is the longest cold and dark tutorial you've ever heard, but we're talking about more than cold and dark. But we're going to move along here. So we're going to turn on our fuel boost, which will stay on for the duration that the engines are running. Those will stay on the whole time. Fuel levers will go forward, which are now mapped to my yoke. I'm so excited. I don't have to drag those things around. Props, though, should be back to feather. There we go. Throttle's a quarter forward. Engine igniters. Now, that with the landing lights off being down, these to me look like they're on. But I would imagine Rob would have caught that if that's a bug. So I guess that's the off position. So let's put these to what I guess is the on position. And flick this left, we should get an engine starting. And it's starting. There we go. Oh my gosh, that made me worried. I didn't hear any sounds. So that just goes up just like your car. Your gauge will go up and then it'll come back down to the real temperature, which is right there. And we can see props and everything are running. So if we come outside, we should have an engine spinning. And we do. Let's come back up here then. Let's start the right engine. And again, we come down here, it all should go all the way up. like it does in your car. All the gauges should go all the way up and then come back down. People are complaining about that, but that's how they're supposed to be, just like in your car. Come up, come back down. And I can hear everything working, but we can look outside if we have to. And there we go, very nice. All right, what is after that? Repeat, repeat. All right, generators. Reset, so down all the way, and then back on, down all the way, and back on. Engine igniters can come off now, which I guess is going to be up. Air bleeds will come on. We're moving more quickly now. All right, temperature and climate control. Temperature. There you go. Let's go middle. Let's go auto for that. Let's do hold for this. Well, this dome light works too, by the way. Now, I don't see anything in here about cabin pressure. And I haven't heard, or I didn't read anything in the documentation about cabin pressure, but the service ceiling in this thing is quite high. So I'm not sure, maybe cabin pressure or oxygen is an option? I don't know, because I haven't seen anything. So yeah, I can do wipers too, by the way. There they go. And slow and fast. And there are rain textures and things when it rains. So let's go up to park. Park will get them to park where they belong, and then you go to off. That's how they work, by the way, if you ever want to do that. All right, come back up here. De-icer, which you're not supposed to turn on until you have a centimeter of ice. But just for the heck of it, let's turn it on anyway. So you go to auto, and then you can turn all these on as well. So there we go. Actually, let's keep that on retract. Turn that on auto. That'll take care of all that. Slow and fast makes a difference. All right, make sure all warnings and cautions are out, and they are. So that's good. Taxi lights come back on, or can come on now. And we'll move our props forward now. I don't see like a taxi position. I just see feather and increase. In other prop airplanes, I see like a taxi normally. Just as feather and increase. So let's go to like there. Give them increase a little bit. Wow, okay, there we go. What else is there to do? Nothing. We're ready to taxi. One more thing I wanted to point out. Here is your DC load, if you want to see what that is. Here's your fire control. Here's your very, very simple autopilot. In fact, let's do a very, very simple autopilot. Something I learned during my test flight. What I normally like to do is I like to push these buttons before we start, like heading, IAS, alt alert, and then as soon as we get in the air, I'll engage autopilot. But what I found out during my test flight, which screwed me up, is if you push these, it engages it immediately. So if I push these, as soon as we get rolling and get airspeed, it's going to follow what I pushed without engaging autopilot separately. So be aware of that. Don't push these unless you mean it. So we're just going to let that sit. I'm not going to go to 6,000 feet. We're not going that high. I'm probably not going to use autopilot, but in case I want to play with it, let's just set it to 3,000. Otherwise, we're ready to taxi. We'll do flaps 10 to take off. That's what the designer recommends. So let's do our outside view here. We're just going to go to the left. Parking brake is off. Whoa. We're leaning backwards. I felt it. Parking brake is off. We'll just go to the left. We're at the Cirrus ramp, by the way, which is in Duluth, which I already mentioned. Let's bring throttles back a little bit. Let's find the closest entrance to the runway. Will be runway 9. But otherwise, that's a pretty thorough overview of the aircraft and what's new. And I know the cold and dark part took a while to get going, but if you want to rewind it and take notes, that's a checklist I'm using. Feel free to use the same stuff or make changes. Ask questions in the comments below. Suggest things in the comments below. I'm not a real-world pilot. I don't pretend to be a real-world pilot. I'm a simulation pilot, getting the most I can out of the simulator and adapting new things as I learn them, because again, a simulation is what you make of it. So I'm going to bring my props forward because this thing is not moving very quickly, and I will meet you once I'm on the runway. Alright, let's pull onto the runway here, and a few more things we need to do before we take off. First, I want to get lined up as close to the center as I can. There we go. Let's hit the brakes, which do stop the aircraft with normal braking. Set the parking brake. I wanted to check my weight and balance one more time here. So yeah, we're pretty close to center. Okay, I just wanted to check that. Alright, so now, what do we need to do? Before we take off, flaps 10, general entrance lighting off, which again isn't making any difference in the back. Taxi lights can come off. Landing lights can come on. They come on together. Start the clock, props forward, takeoff speed 65. But one thing I wanted to do first is test my reversers, because when I did my practice flight, every time I engage reversers, the front of the airplane will lift right off the ground. However, I reloaded the aircraft and I haven't been able to duplicate that problem. So I want to see if the reversers lift the aircraft up or if we move backwards a little bit like we should. I'm going to take the parking brake off, engage reversers, and it's working. Okay. It's working just like it's supposed to. Alright, let's stop. Yeah, stop. There you go. Set the parking brake. Okay, good, good. I'm glad I don't have to discuss that further. Alright, so now when we land, hopefully the reversers will stop us and we don't lift our nose off. Alrighty, so flaps are already at 10. Start our clock, even though we're not really going very far. And props are already forward. We'll move fuel forward, or we'll move throttles forward slowly, and takeoff speed 65 to 70 knots I have written down by the designer. So let's take parking brake off. He also mentions to roll throttles ahead slowly, which we will because we have a very, very long runway. Commercial jets land here all the time. So we'll just take off into the sunrise and see where this goes. I realized I didn't trim for takeoff or anything, but that's okay. Let's just let this thing roll itself out. I'll take off here. So 65 to 70. There's 75. Let's rotate. Come on, where are you? There we go. Very easy. Stop the brake. Stop the wheels with the brakes. Oh, this is very smooth. Bring in those flaps. There we go. Nice smooth flight again. No wind because I don't want that to be a variable in our first time looking at the flight dynamics of this thing. Oh, this is very cool. Let me look down here for the trim part. Can I see the trim? Yep, there we go. Okay. It was trimmed in the middle already. Nice. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Let's hit IA. Actually, let's engage autopilot. And let's do IAS. What is supposed to... There we go. Okay. You happy? Okay, let's do alt alert. See if it actually stops us at 3,000. And let's do heading bug. Which I can... There we go. Let's do heading bug like this. And does it turn us a little bit? And it does. Good. Autopilot is working okay. As long as the level says off at 3,000. Autopilot is great. I do not believe there's engine management. I'm going to fly this with props and throttle full, completely full to see what happens. Everything is in the green. So, I just want to see what happens. I want to see if we start on fire or whatever. Alright, alt alert came up. Very nice. Good. And we are flying. The only thing we need to do is set our decision height, which is in hundreds. It says here hundreds. Okay. So 100. Let's do 1,000 for decision height. There we go. Correct? Because times 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000. Okay. There we go. We're holding at 3,000 feet. And we're going to speed up now because IAS hold is canceled because our altitude is held. So we're speeding up like it should be. And we are holding our heading. Excellent. There we go. Alright, let's just keep flying this thing a little bit. I don't know if there's much to talk about now that we're in the air. Let's have some looks out the windows, I guess. Well, that's a nice view of Duluth. Look at that. Largest freshwater harbor in the world, by the way. So I'm hearing the engine on my left headphone only. Let's look out the other window. Now I hear it out of both because we're by both engines. So that is pretty accurate to me. Very nice. Let's have a look in the cockpit. Beautiful. You can see our lights are still on, which you can turn on without any power, by the way. I asked Rob about that in the forum too. I said, hey man, you can have on these lights with no GPU, no battery, nothing. I asked if there's little batteries in them. But we'll see what he says. And there's a view looking back. Absolutely beautiful work. There's an overview of the cockpit. Oh, just wonderful. Let's see what else is around here. We have ram air, vent, ram air. Look at that. Whoop. I noticed that lit up. Now it's off. Alright, let's turn those back off. What do we have here? Looks like fuel there, but we have fuel here as well. Let's see, what am I looking for? I'm not looking for anything in particular. I'm just showing you around the cockpit. Again, that works. If I click on it, there we go. I love the sounds and how they pan from side to side. It depends where you're looking. Very awesome. Let's have some looks outside, I guess. There we go. Get an idea for the sound outside. Of course, there's it's fixed gear. How nice is this? And again, the view over Duluth. Let's have a nice look back in Duluth and take our screenshot right here. Just like that. So nice. Alrighty, well, let's kill autopilot and see how this thing flies and see if we can land at Sky Harbor. So autopilot is off. Let's bring back throttles quite a bit so we can slow down. Ooh, floaty. Okay. It's a little... There we go. Okay, so we're going to do a left turn here. Let's see if I can line up my turn coordinator. I guess more. There we go. There we go. That would be a 2-minute turn, but we're not going to do that for 2 minutes. Let's go the other way. I'm not keeping level flight, am I? Whoop. Whoop, a little aggressive on the turn. Pull back, keep level flight. A little less aggressive on the turn. There we go. Still want level flight. We got to trim up, I think, because they brought throttles back. There we go. There we go. Level flight. Nice turn, but we're not going to do that for 2 minutes either. Descend without throttles. That's very nice. Yeah, this is really nice. You have to experience it for yourself. Let's bring throttles back and start coming down. Our airport is... Where's your airport? You see the beacon? I think that's the beacon, right? Is that it? Yep, there's airport. Sky Harbor. We're going to turn around and land there. So let's actually come out a little further so we can have a nice, long, straight-in approach. No wind. Knock out as much variable as we can. I'm trying to come up with other things to say, but there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it's a high-quality aircraft. It's very nice. I'm really enjoying flying this thing manually. Everything seems to work. I haven't run into any problems, except that general entrance thing, but you always have the little push lights, I guess. I just love how the sounds change when you look around. Wow, that's so nice. High frame rates. I don't have any frame rate hit in this thing, at least not that I'm noticing. Very easy to fly. Now let's see if we can land, though. Landing is a whole nother story, of course. Alright, let's start our turn back. Kind of nervous, have a lot of pressure on myself here, because I used to land the version 1 perfectly fine. But this is a completely new aircraft, so hopefully I can land this as well. Why do I feel like we're sinking so fast? Oh no, those were buildings. Pappy's over here. Okay, let's trim up, I guess. Oh boy. Okay, trim is really... Okay, small movements. Here you go. Let's do flaps 10. Actually, flaps 20 at 100 knots, it said. And then flaps 30. Whoa, okay, I just kind of like... Things went out of control here. Alright, slow down. Okay, now we're like bobbing up and down. Alright, pitch for speed. Throttles for vertical descent. More throttles, more throttles. Flaps 30 now, which will make it more difficult to control with more flaps out. Whoa, okay, this is bouncing up and down on me here. Okay, we're at our landing speed already, which we shouldn't be quite yet. Alright, here we go. Oh man, I'm really nervous. Why am I so nervous? I guess I've never landed this thing yet. So here we go. Oh boy. Alright. Bring throttles back a little bit. I have a lot of throttle engaged, actually. Like over half throttle. So let's level off here a little bit. I'm still over the threshold, I know. Let's bring back throttles now. Let it float down, float down, float. Did we bounce? Or... Oh, we're down. Let's do reversers. Okay. It seems like we're really high. I'll tell you what I mean once I stop. Let's set parking brake a second. I feel like we're sitting really high. Like, I expected us to be a lot lower to the ground when we touched down. Huh. So I don't know if we bounced or what. Let's have a look at the replay. Let's see what happened. Alright, so for some reason I was expecting us to be much lower to the ground when we touched down. So that kind of startled me. But let's see here. I don't know if we bounced or not. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Nope, we didn't bounce. Nope. Okay. Alrighty, I bobbed the nose wheel a little bit, but it was fine. And then reversers. Okay, the reversers kept us on the ground. Good, because in my other flight I did that and I flipped back on my tail. Alrighty, awesome. Alright, let's go back to real time and taxi off and shut this thing down. Alrighty, I'm still going to keep my props all the way forward because I don't see anything about a taxi position or anything. So we'll just keep them forward. I'm going to have to research that on my own. Figure that out. Well, flaps can start coming in, I guess. I guess the landing wasn't terrible. I shouldn't have, like, had the nose wheel bob up and down. But hey, very first time landing this thing. Because my practice flight, like I said, the reversers, it was a disaster. It flipped me. It was weird. It was very strange. Hasn't happened since. So hopefully it was just a fluke. But not too bad for a very, very first landing in this thing. But we're really tipping. I think my back end has way too much stuff in it. I think the heavy people should move to the front of the plane. I feel badly saying that, but I feel like we're really bobbing around. Look at that. That nose wheel is like barely connecting to the ground. That's really interesting. Let's see here. Whoop. Small taxiway, big plane. Let's slow down a little bit here. Yeah, let's get in the more appropriate spot. Let's stop here a second. Oh, see, yeah, it's bouncing around. Okay, set parking brake. That must be something with the weight distribution. I'll have to learn more about that. All right, landing lights off. Taxi lights can come on. What else do we do? Oh yeah, we stop our clock now. 13-minute flight. Okay, I guess so. Let's see what else. Flaps are in. Okay, so now we just taxi to a parking spot. Oh, let's see. Whoops, I just bumped the flap button. Oh, it's infinite flaps, by the way. I should have mentioned that a long time ago. The flaps are not incremental, so make sure your yoke is set up to do infinite flaps. So, for example, if I just push the flap button, it just goes out a little bit. You actually have to hold it down to get the flaps where you want it to go. Alright, I'm looking right here at my flap thing. So, you have to hold it down. There's been complaints about that, but that's because people don't have their yoke set up necessarily for infinite flaps. So make sure you have that set appropriately or you're going to have problems deploying your flaps. This plane seems really, really large at this airport. So let's just go over here. Oh my goodness, this thing looks gigantic at this airport. I have been in this airport in real life. I took a scenic flight in the Beaver from this airport, which is why I bought the Beaver, because I flew in one. Alright, let's just stop here, and like I said, the brakes do stop this airplane, because in some of my aircraft, regular braking does not stop the aircraft. Set parking brake. Alright, I actually have a shutdown checklist too, for those of you who are interested. Parking brake is already set. Taxi lights can come... Oops, taxi lights are up here. Taxi lights can come off. Props come to feather. Radios and GPS can come off, it says. Like so. Does that actually turn it off? I don't think that actually turns it off necessarily. It's supposed to. But it's not. It's always on, I guess. Does that pop out? Yeah, it pops out. Alright, anyway, whatever. No big deal there. Fuel boost comes off now. That's those down here. Alrighty. That actually is killing the fuel. Alright, fuel cutoff as well. Position lights can come off. Anti-collision can come off. Let's see what else. Hook up external power. We need our notebook for that. External power. Let's open up the baggage doors while we have that open. External power switch on the overhead so we can continue our lights. There we go. Generators can come off. There we go. And bleeds can come off. And anti-ice obviously could have come off a long time ago. Alright, let's see. DC master can also come off. But we still have our lights though, because we have external power hooked up. See, we still have our lights. We still have our lights in the cabin, again, because those are always on unless you turn them off. What else are we going to do? I guess we can turn these on, which would work because we have GPU. And let's see what else. I think I got it all. Let's just open up our doors here and open up our main doors. Let's just do that door right now. Let's not do the cargo door. There we go. Awesome. Well, we made it. I hope that was enjoyable. Hope you got something out of it. I know I'm combining a first look and a cold and dark start together, so a much longer video. In fact, it's double the length I thought it would be, but I wanted to cover as much as I could. So hopefully you're interested in this aircraft. Support Rob, buy this aircraft. You get a lot for your money. It's just quite lovely. I always enjoyed version 1, but I enjoy version 2 even more. That's bothering me. Let's open that up. There we go. A lot of new features, a lot of refined features, a lot of things I still have to learn, like my weight distribution so we don't pop wheelies. We were still very light on the nose, like I said. We bobbed up after touchdown and we were bobbing around on the taxiway, but my reversers work just fine. I apologize if you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm just excited they work and they didn't throw me out of my tail. I'm trying to think of anything else I can add to this. I'm just having a hard time being concise. I don't know why. Probably because it's many hours past my bedtime as I record this. So if you found me by accident, please like, please subscribe. If you're a regular subscriber, thank you for your continuing support. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. I do take subscriber requests as long as the flight time is less than 90 minutes. Leave those flight requests down below, and I'll catch you on the next one.